We're going to go ahead and call the regular board meeting for the Lake Arrowhead Community Services District to order. Please follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Marissa, agenda certification?
Yes, the agenda was posted.
Okay, roll call.
Director Brown. Vice President Boydston.
Here.
Director Reynolds.
Here.
President Wurm.
Here. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Consider approved. Public comment. This portion of the agenda is reserved for the public to speak on matters within the jurisdiction of the Lake Arrowhead Community Services District that are not on the agenda. So if there is a matter that is on the agenda and you want to speak on that, we'd wait until that matter is called, and then your remarks would be, or indoor questions would be more relevant. But if you have a matter that is not on the agenda, now's an opportunity to speak. We do want to state that public comments, whether for matters on the agenda or not on the agenda, are not comments, positions, opinions by the board, the district, or its staff. And we do encourage all speakers to be civil, polite, and considerate of not only the people who are here, and the people who are online, but all members of the community, because obviously we're a small community, and you never know who you're going to run into at Staters or the post office. Okay, so anyway, do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on a matter that is not on the agenda?
I have Mr. St. John.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Sure.
This came up at our board meeting, HOA at Cedar Ridge Estates the other day, so I thought I'd bring it to you guys.
Okay.
During the line fire, I was driving along the rim and I saw a couple of guys, I assume it was you guys, checking the hydrants as the fire approached, taking the caps off, blowing out the sediment, checking the pressure, putting the caps back on. And it occurred to me, maybe that's something that could be done before a fire breaks out. In my neighborhood in Cedar Ridge, you guys check the hydrant at the top of the community regularly, but the ones down below, I've never in the 15 years I've lived there, seen anyone check them. And back in 2003, we had one that was leaking for a long period of time undetected. So I just wanted to know if there's a schedule for checking these. And as a follow-up, does anybody here know how many gallons of water are in Lake Arrowhead? 16 billion gallons.
No.
Does the water district and the fire department have a way to access that resource in case the winds are above 35, 40 miles an hour and choppers can't fly? Or in case the storage tanks that feed the hydrants run dry like they did in Pacific Palisades? That's all.
We're gonna have Nate talk on that subject. So
I'll be talking
Lake
about
access or hydrants?
account hydrants,
Oh.
stuff like that. Yeah, I'll touch on that in my report.
Can we get the fire out of the lake?
So, but when he talks, if you have a follow-up question, let us know.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
And we have Mr. Schultz.
Mr. Schultz.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, this is a prepared written statement, which is collaborated from our residents with facts and opinions about our community of Lake Arrowhead Village. First off, we care deeply about our community and its future. We want to point out that there is a cancel culture public website known as Arrowhead Woods Informed that stated serves our community, which is a flat out lie. It serves outside investors and the future of Airbnb owners, not our residents or community. This cancel culture website, Arrowhead Woods Informed, begins with a lie, saying its main author, Gary Bartanian, is a resident of our community. That is a flat out lie. He just owns a piece of property here. This cancel culture website smears and demeans the workers and employees of LACSD and AWAC. Mr. Vartanian also portrays them in a depicted scene as the cause of the death of a human being. How much lower can you go? This cancel culture website spent the whole year of 2024 putting out false and misleading information about LACSD. The two authors, Mr. Bartani and Mr. Hike, spent all of 2024 searching for something they could find to use against LACSD to show negligence. But they found nothing. On average, these two authors requested public records from LACSD every 11 to 12 days in 2024 and found nothing. In 2023, they requested almost the same amount of public records and found nothing. This has caused LACSD, our water company, to battle PFAS, which should be the priority, and it is, and a cancel culture website, which represents outside Airbnb owners. These two authors actually requested names of LACSD personnel and also requested names of those on AWAC Zoom meetings. Why? AWAC didn't give them that request. On social media, Mr. Garibaltinian gives advice on how an Airbnb owner could sue a full-time resident of Arrowhead Woods. What? Our community wants to cancel this cancel culture website. Also, Gary Bartanian stated I, Michael Schultz, handpicked the AWAC board. It's another flat-out blatant lie. Those on the board are concerned residents who represent and serve our community and receive no pay and want to protect our living forest and the wildlife that comes with it. Mr. Bartanian wants to abolish our CCNRs in Arrowhead Woods, which would take away the protection of our living forest trees and thus take away our wildlife. This cancel culture website knows nothing about mountain culture. We love our forests, our neighborhoods, and our community. Our Arrowhead Woods property owners have been protecting our forests and wildlife for well over 100 years. Why would we allow cancel culture to destroy mountain culture? We won't. We will continue to protect our forests, wildlife, and mountain culture and not allow the destruction of our properties, neighborhoods, and community from this cancel culture website known as Arrowhead Woods Informed. We thank LACSD for listening to our opinions and for station. And have a happy upcoming Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Do we have any other members of?
Mr. Rundle.
He just called me more bullshit. I don't know what that means, but let it slide. Thanks for listening to me. Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you.
How you liking it? Good. We thank you for serving in our community. It's a big step up, I'm sure. So you're learning a lot, I hope. And we talk about PFAS and we talk about like lakes that have ours. We live in a bowl. Means all these people around here are part of the possible contamination of Lake Arrowhead. And there's a thing called Keep Lake Tahoe Blue. They've done a serious job of making sure fertilizers don't get in the water, contaminants don't get in the water, car washing doesn't get in the water, and I'm sure PFAS, because they have a huge lake. And so if they had a PFAS problem from the residents around there, it'd be diluted by all of that water. Well, we probably have, I don't know what the difference in residents is, but with users and everything, I'm sure they have a lot of people, and we have a lot of people around this lake too, but it's a much smaller lake with a lot less water. So every contaminant that goes and is used and comes out of somewhere that all of the residents and all of the visitors and all the people that are here goes into one of our multiple streams and goes into our lake. So my question is, have we tested like consumers or who's causing the PFAS problem? Everyone's blaming it on the sewers. I don't think it's the sewers. I think it's the consumers and people that are around the lake, people are using the lake. They say sunscreen, lily pads, boat polish, all sorts of stuff causes PFAS, right? It's PFAS. We're all using it. Got our pans. We wash our pans. That goes, I mean, all sorts of stuff. So, nobody's being able to answer the question. It's not even a question. It's rhetorical. But maybe we need to look at ourselves and we need to look at our lake and realize that maybe we're the cause of the PFAS problem. So thank you for hearing me.
Good. Thank you. Scott, I think Matt, we have made efforts to try to identify the source of the PFAS.
Yeah, we've definitely sampled the tributaries that feed the lake, the lake itself, Grass Valley Lake, and we've attempted to try to figure out where is this coming from.
Sure.
But as we reported out at many of these meetings, is what we've learned is it's like, as you mentioned, it's in a lot of products. It seems to be coming from multiple different sources and very well could be coming from boat recreation as a source, but there's multiple sources and we were not able to pinpoint it as we tried. But so right now the district is moving forward with dropping in a treatment solution for the problem at hand, the contaminated water in the lake. So we can't really explain where it's coming from, but we can remove it from the drinking water. So that's what we're moving towards, is that goal. So, but I agree with you. I think everyone needs to kind of take a look in the mirror and figure out what kind of things we can do individually to try to make less of a footprint when it comes to PFAS, just, within Lake Arrowhead or, within just wherever we live and everywhere, because it is coming from human contact, it appears. So,
Okay, thank you.
And I think, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but we contacted a company, a business, to try to identify the source, and they said our levels were so low it wouldn't be worth the effort, something
Yeah.
like that.
yeah, so we did have a third-party business that we were working with. We had 5 sites that we came up with together that we've been sampling. We have lots of different data points for these same sites. And they basically said to move forward with the process they were suggesting, we would need a higher concentration of PFAS. And we have lower concentrations based on what they're used to working with, and advised us not to move forward. We're hoping to move forward with a process that might be able to give us a fingerprint on what kind of product did this PFAS come from, being firefighting foams or all kinds of different products. They basically said we didn't have enough in there to move forward, so they suggested that we do not, so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate that clarification.
All right, okay,
Mr. Vartanian?
okay, Garen?
Darren? Can you please unmute yourself?
Hello,
Yes.
can
ahead.
everybody hear?
Yep, we can hear you, go ahead.
I had a question about the notice of board vacancy. Do you want me to hold off on that until you discuss the actual vacancy? Or am I free to discuss it now?
You can discuss it now, it's next on the agenda, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I wanna thank LACSD for every month giving me an opportunity to speak at these board meetings. I don't know if it's LACSD that just does it out of the goodness of their hearts, or if it's the Brown Act, but I'm really appreciative that LACSD allows me to speak. With that said, yesterday was my birthday, January 27th. Yesterday was my birthday, and what better gift to receive as an individual than a lawyer love letter from John here of AWAC, threatening to sue me for participation on Zoom at future AWAC meetings. But, that's a matter we can discuss some other time, but I'm really appreciative of LACSD not cutting me off and letting me continue to speak. So the question that I had here was the notice of board vacancy. On January 13th, a document appeared on LACSD's website. It essentially said, you are hereby notified pursuant to Government Code Section 1780. There's a vacancy, Division 3. Mr. Robert Morris resigned, and we're looking for candidates. The notice continues at the end and says, please submit your resumes no later than January 24th, 2025 at 4 p.m., which was Friday. That was the deadline for the candidates to submit, their resumes and their interest to run. I've had an opportunity to review the resumes of the 3 individuals. These are fantastic individuals. They have very extensive background, and it's really needed new blood at LACSD. We really need this. But here's my question, and it's more directed towards Marissa Meads. The notice gave a deadline to submit resumes no later than January 24th, which was Friday, and that deadline was 4 p.m. I'm just trying to make sure the candidates are all treated fairly here. Michelle Ambrozic, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the last name. Her resume was submitted on LACSD's website on January 21st. She was the first one to submit a resume and she's got extensive background, which is great. Friday morning, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the last name, Miss Madeline Blua. On Friday, January 24th, her resume is actually dated January 24th. Her resume appeared on LACSD's website. Today, today being after January 24th, I happened to look on LACSD's website. I noticed a sudden third resume appear. There's no date on the resume. It's Mr. Gilliland. He's from Trinity Construction. And my question for Ms. Meads is, did this resume come into LACSD's possession before the deadline of Friday, 4 p.m. or after the deadline? And also in what manner in which did this resume, get to LACSD? Was it email? Was it hand delivery? So I just want things to be fair for all the candidates. A third resume suddenly appeared on LACSD's website a few hours ago, and the date of receipt was Friday the 24th. So if you can have Miss Meads let us know. I just, these deadlines are very strict. LACSD is very strict with these deadlines. So the letter says no later than January 24th. So that's my question. When was this third and final resume received by LACSD? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Garen. The resume was timely submitted in accordance with the notice of vacancy. So it was timely submitted prior to the date in the notice.
Why wasn't it on LACSD's website until a couple hours ago?
No. Do you have any other questions?
No, why wasn't the resume on LACSD's website a couple hours ago? Why did it only appear a couple hours ago?
I'm not sure about that.
It was because we were discussing the candidate.
There was some internal discussion about background on the candidate. So, but thank you for your inquiry. So next, there is the next matter is board member appointment. The board will consider appointing a board member to the Lake Arrowhead Community Services District Board of Directors, Division number 3. The board has the opportunity to fill the vacancy on the board by appointing a replacement to the seat that is currently vacant due to the resignation of Director Robert Morris. The board has received 3 letters of interest. The candidates' names are Michelle Ambrozic, Madeline Blua, all right, and Mark Gilliland. Now, are all 3 candidates are here? Do all 3 candidates wish to proceed?
I'm not going to proceed.
Okay, so that was Mark who said he's not going to proceed. So we have 2 candidates, Michelle and Madeline. Okay. Let me see here. You want to flip a coin to see who goes first?
don't care.
Rock,
Your choice.
rock, scissors, paper.
I'll go ahead if that's fine.
Okay, all right, thank you. I was gonna go by alphabetical order, but we got A, B.
Usually I'm near the top of the alphabet,
Yeah,
so.
okay. All right, well, thank you and welcome, and we appreciate your interest and willingness to serve, and we're anxious to hear.
Yes, yeah, good evening, board of directors and staff and the public, and I have to say, I was actually very surprised to see the parking lot pretty full. My background is actually, I worked at another water district, Yucaipa Valley Water District, for about 5 years. And to see this level of public engagement is amazing, especially for such a small community. So it's obvious there are a lot of passionate people here in our community. So just a little bit more about my background. Really fell into water and appreciated my role at Yucaipa Valley Water District. Great staff there and had the opportunity to work a lot with other agencies in the region, wholesalers, other retailers, and resource agencies as well. And I gave that up because I wanted to move up here to the mountain. And so unlike many people who can boast living here for decades, I'm a very new resident here to the Hook Creek track. And I really do want to dig deep roots into this community. And I want to bring forth my expertise, working in water resources, understanding the complication of working through regulations, working through a variety of community interests, and having to balance all of those things. It's very important. And I really want to promote resiliency for Lake Arrowhead Community Services District. It's very important for every agency in Southern California and you know, across the nation, but especially here where the community has a set of unique needs, a set of unique challenges, and having to face those head on so that no matter what comes towards us in the future, we're prepared to meet that. In addition to my experience working at the Water District, I also teach part-time at Cal State San Bernardino. I'm an adjunct professor there, and I'm currently teaching hydrology now. And it's something I'm really passionate about because I do love bringing people that knowledge, not only of kind of that science of hydrology, but a perspective of what it takes to manage these resources moving forward. And a lot of what I do is I bring these students to have hands-on experiences at facilities regionally, drinking water facilities, wastewater facilities. We go out to the creek, the Santa Ana River, understanding that tie not only between those things, but in addition to understanding the public aspect of that. And so I have always assigned my students to attend a public meeting such as this and understand and see that that interplay, the community aspect of it as well. And so I really feel that public outreach is really important, and having people understand that the role they can play in their community. I think that's about all I have to say about my experience, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any members of the board have any questions?
You said you're in process of becoming a full-time resident here, or?
I'm a full-time resident now. I left my pension and all the good stuff back at Yucaipa Valley Water District, and I forgot to mention, I now am a consultant. I own my own consulting company, and I provide consulting services to water suppliers and municipalities.
Any other?
Yeah, I got a couple questions and maybe comments also. So how long have you been up here?
I moved up this summer.
Okay. And you mentioned you gave up a pension. If you get on this board, we're not having a pension. We give more than we get, I would say.
Understood.
And sometimes our meetings go very long. And it's, like I said, you're about volunteering for this board. And you have a great background. You have a very good background. I had another question and my brain jumped the track.
Well, I appreciate the comment.
Yeah, I don't, lost my train of thought, John. It's back to you.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments from the board? No? Okay. Madeline, thank you very much, and it is a very impressive resume, and thank you for your interest in our district.
Thank you for your time.
Sir, okay. All right, Michelle.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here tonight. I appreciate being here. And my name is Michelle Ambrozic. I've been a mountain resident for about 23 years now. My husband is a lifer. He's been up here since he was little, grew up here. We started our family and our business up here. We run a construction firm that specializes in renovations, new construction additions, and things of that nature. Very familiar with the community and the residents of our community. And most recently, I served on the Lake Arrowhead Municipal Advisory Council. I was appointed by Supervisor Janice Rutherford in 2014. So I just turned out from that. That was a volunteer position. Also met once a month, so I'm used to the schedule. And mostly interested in serving our community because it is such a special one, and I'm very familiar with the unique challenges that sometimes come our way, especially with LACSD. I'm familiar with hearing some of those challenges come before our board. And as vice chair, had to hear residents and their feedback and develop plans to get them in touch with the proper channels and government agencies. And that's kind of where my specialty kind of comes from in terms of governance and things of that nature. But I'm a business owner and mom of 3, and I'm very happy to serve our community, and I hope to further serve our community on the board if you would have me. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Question? No?
Why do you want to be on the board of water?
Well, initially, Steve, you know, I came off the Lake Arrowhead Municipal Advisory Council after almost 12 years of fulfilling my term, and I thought it'll be great to have a little break now and, you know, go back to just raising my kids and running my business and getting to other things. But when the opportunity opened up, you know, I was talking to my family about it, and my son sort of perfectly said, Mom, I think God just wants you to be on boards. And I said, you know what, buddy, you might be right. So, you know, take every opportunity and learn with it and grow with it and give as much as you can to it. And I love serving this community. I really do. The MAC had a lot of challenges, but it was great to be a part of a good team of thinkers and being able to come up with solutions and ideas to serve our community. And I think I'm strong in that department. I am an ideas person, and I'm a creative person and very business-minded, taxpayer conscious. And I just think I'd be a good fit for the board because of my background in those areas.
Okay, so we've had a chance for both candidates to speak. Now is an opportunity for members of the public, if any, to comment. Any members of the public wish to comment?
There's none.
None? Okay. Okay. Well, I have here on my agenda, after members of the public have spoken, give the candidates a final opportunity to speak. Go ahead.
I'd love to comment, I just didn't have my thoughts together.
Okay, we know you're a little bit slow.
I
so
don't
that's
forget.
okay, yeah.
I've been called a, you know, few things. Bullshit. I've known Michelle for probably about 20 years. In fact, my wife taught her husband before they ever met each other in 6th grade. And I know her husband, and I know Michelle, and I know her on the MAC. I brought questions and concerns to her, and she's handled them. So she's an upstanding citizen in this community, and looks like she just wants to do the right thing. And man, if God says she's got to be on the board. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry, I don't know you yet. So I hope we get to know each other. And so that's just my opinion, and that's my thought. So thank you.
Any other members of the public have a comment or? No?
There's none.
Okay, all right, so now after members of the public, Scott has spoken, the candidates have a final opportunity to speak. Any,
I have nothing to add.
Madeline or? Okay, all right. So now the board members can make statements, comments, ask questions. If any,
I just have a quick question.
okay.
Why did you step down from wanting to be on the board?
Conflict of interest. Just something that I thought would be an opportunity to work in the community in this capacity, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay, so the next matter would be to see if there's a motion from any member of the board.
Two outstanding
I know,
people,
that's
but
the tough one.
I am gonna move forward with Michelle Ambrozic. I'm gonna ask that
I'll second
she would
that.
be picked for it.
Yeah, I
She would be my-
And so we have a motion and a second for Michelle. Is it a roll call vote or?
No, it's not.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, yes, no. Thank you. And Madeline, I really don't take this as any sort of like, because you do have an outstanding resume.
I appreciate that,
And
and
it re- and
not
really,
no hard
yeah.
feelings at all. I know you will make the right decision.
Well, Well, we hope so.
Yes.
Thank you and Madeline, and thank you very much for your willingness to serve, and Mark for your consideration too. Okay,
I got one thing to say.
okay.
That is, you being a newcomer, welcome to the mountain.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Community's been very welcoming
Please,
overall.
you feel welcome to the mountain.
Okay. Okay, Marissa, you're up next,
All right.
and
Director.
Michelle.
Ambrozic. I'm gonna take your oath of office. Raise your right hand. I, Michelle Ambrozic, do solemnly swear, I, Michelle Ambrozic, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance, to the Constitution of the United States, to the Constitution of the United States, and the Constitution of the State of California, and the Constitution of the State of California. That I will take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge. The duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
I go up there now.
Yeah, right now. Start earning your pay. Yes, huge, big, huge pay, okay. All right, next we have, and again, for our other two candidates, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next we have, departmental reports. First is engineering manager's report, and that would be Scott.
We missed item 7, the minutes.
Oh, item 7, I'm sorry. Well, and also the consent calendar. Thank you, Marissa. Let's see, the following, consent items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, acted on at one time without discussion unless an item is requested to be withdrawn by a board member for discussions or questions. The only item is approval of the minutes. Does a board member wish to withdraw that from the consent calendar? Do we have a motion then?
Motion to approve.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, consent calendar is approved. All right, now, departmental reports. Scott.
Thank you, President Wurm, members of the board. This is an informational item. I'm going to cover the fourth quarter report, and instead of going down the list of projects, I'm going to do it by enterprises. So I'm going to start with the collection enterprise 210 and Highland Sewer Replacement Project 214. That was completed in November, and the board accepted it in December. The project replaced 170 or 1,700 linear feet of and 40 linear feet of old concrete sewer, replaced 30 laterals from the old sewer to the new sewer, eliminated laterals that were connected to one another, eliminated 8 existing shallow manholes and installed 2 new manholes and 1 drop manhole. The project went really well. The people up there are very happy. And this project applies to our State Water Resources Control Board, CDO R6V 213-22. Next project is Lift Station 2 relocation. This project will relocate a small capacity lift station to a larger one with better access. We're actually going to talk about this in action item 12 tonight for design. And we're currently working on the Hospital Road sewer replacement. This is a small sewer project within the Caltrans right-of-way, right at Hospital Road. And it's going to go to the entrance of North Shore Road to replace 6-inch VCP with new 8-inch PVC pipe. The The hospital road has already been upgraded and the North Shore sewer has been upgraded to 8-inch. So this is just going to complete that section. It's at 100% design and it's currently being reviewed by TKE Engineering. Caltrans is reviewing the excavation permit and the traffic control plan. And we expect this to go out to bid during spring. And this is another CDO project. And this has been designed in-house. Our next project is a current project that's under construction. This is an annual CDO project to raise 200 paved over manholes and add a composite sealed lid and a concrete collar to prevent inflow. This project's currently underway and 60 manholes have been completed out of 200 thus far. They got slowed down a little bit by the snow, but they will be back at it soon. And another annual CDO project that we do is manhole inflow reduction. This project rehabilitates 20 manholes with inflow and broken shelves and applies grout, water stop, and coating to inflowing manholes and brick manholes. It was awarded last month and it will start as soon as the snow melts. And then we have a current project, slip lining various projects 266. This is kind of a new project that came up from our maintenance department. It's a slip lining project. We'll line old AC clay pipes at 7 locations. It's going to include 315 linear feet of slip lining and lateral reinstatement of 6-inch and 700 linear feet of 8-inch. This project's currently out to bid. The bid opening is on February 13th, and I will bring it to you on the next board meeting on February 25th. And then another slip lining project that we have going that is part of our Lake Main slip lining. Actually, it's kind of the last section of Lake Main, Meadow Bay and Blue Jay slip lining, project 263. This project consists the slip lining of 6,591 linear feet of 18-inch AC pipe, including the reinstatement of 71 laterals and rehabilitation of 45 manholes. These plans are 100% designed and they are currently at TKE Engineering for review. And we're hoping to get this out to bid in the spring for a summer project. And on the same enterprise is the courtyard. You guys know about the courtyard, it's been going on for a while. So the courtyard, the trash closure is finished and ready for final inspection. Trinity has ordered the internal heaters and they're waiting for delivery. Once they're delivered, they have a small number of change orders to complete with 2 or 3 days more work, and they'll be pretty much finished. The HVAC is still going in. It's almost finished. They're just waiting on the delivery of barometric vents and straps. Once they receive them, they will have 1 or 2 days of work to complete. Indoor weather, they're the other HVAC contractor. They will return hopefully by the end of this week to add fresh intakes. The electrical from Amtech is 65 to 75% finished. Once we get that finished, we can get it inspected by the county. And right after that, Apple Valley Insulation will install the installation. And right after that will be Kokorin Drywall to do the drywall. And Amtech will come back and complete the electrical that has to go on the outside of the drywall. And so completion's getting close and we expect it to be completely done by the start of summer. The skater room addition, skater room addition has been ongoing. The room is now enclosed, the windows are in. All that's really left is the interior, including electrical installation, and drywall is next, and that's at about 65%. And all these projects have been going really well because of the weather we've had. I mean, they've been moving, so that's good. Okay, on the water enterprise 110, PFAS 251 is being designed, and we're up to 60% plan review. We have Chamber Group is working on our CEQA, and they are going to assist us with the AB 52. And Matt's probably going to talk more about this. And then, as you know, our Willow Creek building burnt down. We have this old 2-inch line running out there that supplied it approximately 6,150 linear feet. So we're running a new water main to get fire flow out there. So the project includes a new 6-inch water main from Alberta Court to the water treatment plant. And we're also going to include a 2-inch conduit for fiber optics. And I think that's through Frontier. And the plans are about 100%. Staff is currently reviewing them. And then next is a spyglass slope protection, project 179. So we were going to go with a concrete tank that was going to be a combination tank and retaining wall on the slope. And the price got really high, got up to around the cost of $5 million. So we're kind of stepping it back. The slope protection is the most important thing at this point. And we have a soil nail wall that's at 80% design. And we're going to go out to bid in the spring for a summer construction, and the tank will be soon after. And the Willow Creek treatment building that burnt down, that's been awarded the Blue Scope in June of 2024, and it's under design. And we're kind of hoping we can get the water line in before they go out with the building. Okay. Groundwater, Enterprise 100, Blue Jay Well, staff comments have been submitted to Webb. TKE Engineering is to survey the water distribution. Once the survey is complete, the design will start, and that's being done in-house. 2 Mile Road Wells, project 244. We're currently going through CEQA, and we're working on property acquisition, and we're going to work with TKE on to give us a quote for the water treatment design, which will probably be similar to a lot of all of our other well treatments. Well 5 on Lake Arrowhead Country Club rehabilitation. L.O. Lynch, they're our contractor. They're right at the end of it. They need to search the disinfection, collect BACT samples, and perform the startup. And they're just waiting for the snow to clear out to schedule it. Well number 6, this is the other Lake Arrowhead Country Club well that needs rehabilitation. The plans are 100%, and they're currently out to bid, and bid opening is on February 13th, and I'm going to bring that to the board in February. And that's all I have for now. And any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board?
I got a question. Yeah, on our building over there. When we're done with everything we were talking about, do we still have in-house things that we're gonna finish up with?
Very little. Most of the in-house stuff has been completed. They did a lot of the framing of the inside. One thing left that they have to do would be doors. So we got approval to purchase the doors and our staff's gonna put those in.
We're also gonna do like the painting and stuff like that, we're not gonna try to stuff that out, we're gonna do that in-house, save some money there. And then, other little things, trim work here and there, all the little stuff that we can handle, I feel like, we don't need to pay somebody to do that, we can save some money and do some of that in-house and. Not that it's pressing that we have to do it before we get in there, so I think we can kind of do it as time allows and, get us in there a little quicker, so.
And we appreciate that in-house work. We do.
Our guys like doing it sometimes.
Like being a general contractor, huh?
Yeah.
Well, they're working in that building, they help build it, a little bit of pride there. I think.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, you had a question?
I had a question about the slip lining.
Yes.
It's plastic, right?
It's almost like a fiber material that's impregnated with resin. And then it gets pushed in through air and then heated. And it smells like surfboard.
Does it have PFAS?
I don't think it contains PFAS.
You don't think?
Well.
Because I guarantee it's probably, non-stick.
Yeah, it's a fibrous material, but that's a great question.
Maybe we can find that out.
We will find that out.
I mean, it's a process and product that we've used as long as I've been on the board.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Mr. Vartanian?
Garen.
Yeah, hello. You hear me?
Yes.
I have two questions. So the corporation yard, it's project number 253. Maybe Mr. O'Brien can answer this question. This is my first question. Up to today, what is the total dollar amount that's been spent on project 253, which is the corporate yard? And my second more specific question, LACSD has an accounts payable check register that they put on their website. It's all the checks that LACSD cut every month. So for the month of December on page 11, this looks like it's the trash can enclosure for the corporate yard. There's a check number here, 90820. It's $2,450. And it's labeled trash can enclosure design, SGH Architects. Is LACSD spending $2,450 to design a trash can enclosure? Those are my two questions.
Okay, so when the trash enclosure was constructed, there was an issue with the block and how the block lined up. And they remedied that by re-supporting it a different way. And it was just the way it worked out in the field under construction. And the county looked at it and they said that it wasn't built exactly as the plan and that they needed a plan to get it approved. So we had to go back to the architect to redesign to what they actually had to build. And that's what that cost is.
All right, and then total cost for the corp yard, I know it's gonna be a big number.
Yeah.
Do you have that or can you bring it back next?
Yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head. I can,
But we can bring it back at
Yeah.
the next meeting.
Sure,
But
yeah.
it's been a very expensive project, a lot more than I think anybody thought it would be. when
yeah,
we
I don't have
started.
the exact figure in front of me.
Okay, but we'll get that number for the next meeting and maybe even put it in the board packet.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah, no
All right,
problem.
thank you. Any other questions, comments from the
There's
public? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, and then next we have 8B, I believe. Okay, Nate?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This is the field operations, 2024 fourth quarter report. I do want to take a minute, start off with some background information. I know there's been a lot of concern of hydrants, we have unprecedented fire danger, and I just want to touch on LACSD's program as far as how we maintain our hydrants and our valves. So I'm just kind of read a brief description of what we do. LACSD valve and hydrant maintenance program is a proactive strategy designed to ensure the reliability and efficiency of the water distribution system. Each valve is thoroughly inspected, debris is removed, and the valve is operated through its full range of motion. This process helps prevent issues such as rust, corrosion, mineral deposits, which can hinder valve function and proper shut-off. In conjunction with valve exercising, the district conducts hydrant flushing. During this process, each hydrant is thoroughly inspected to identify and address any maintenance or repair needs, ensuring their reliability in emergency situations. If a hydrant requires repair, it is classified as a high priority and repairs are completed without delay. By integrating the valve exercising program with our hydrant flushing, the district maximizes its maintenance efforts to enhance the overall system performance and ensure reliability to our customers. And just to add to that, you know, we're going around and we're flushing hydrants. We try to get to all of them. We have roughly 1,000 hydrants in Arrowhead Woods. We currently have no known out of service hydrants. We had one a couple weeks ago, already been repaired and completed. I want to add just that the hydrant itself generally doesn't fail. It's usually the steel lateral coming from the main to the hydrant. That's usually our fail point. We rarely have any failures in our actual hydrants. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there to ensure the community that our hydrants are working. We do have a program and we do take this seriously, and we want to actually up this program and try and do more of these every year. So that's what we're focusing on. So I know there's been some concern. I don't know when we've been around the Cedar Ridge, but
Since 2003,
I think
for the lower part.
I think we have, but I'd have to look back and see. One thing I'd add is the paint fades really fast on those. So generally when we go through and paint the hydrants, they're doing maintenance on the same
They
time.
all look good.
Yeah. So I know it's just a you know, appearance thing on the outside, but generally if they've been painted and they look great, we've exercised those, we've maintenance, we make sure they work. So just want to ensure that. So next I have my field operations water report on page 19. Nothing really special here. Pretty much, see, we replaced 15 service lines and repaired 12 leaks in the main. If you go to page 20, this is our fourth quarter water leaks. I'll start with the 205,000 gallons. This was a broken coupling on a 6-inch AC main. Nothing really special there other than it was just a broken coupling, got repaired and moved on.
That was quite a significant amount of water anyway.
Yeah, we got that shut off pretty quickly, but yeah, because the whole coupling failed, it was a large amount of water pretty quickly.
And it's a large diameter too.
Yeah, it was a 6-inch.
6-inch, yeah.
Yeah.
Goes up pretty quick.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Next we have the 12,384 gallons. That was in a 6-inch steel cross-country main.
Yeah.
And the next one, we have a 2 million gallon, 242,000. This was a leak on the golf course. Definitely don't like to see leaks that big a number, but we based our leak information off of some information that the golf course gave us, like they started to see some water, didn't call us right away. The reason for that is because there's already a natural spring right next to that main, so it always looks like there's water there. We also had to wait a little while to do some planning because it was the main feed line to our spyglass tank. When we shut that main down to do the repair, we had to time it and get all the parts and make sure that we were still able to get everybody water from that tank. So unfortunately, that's a large leak, not something that we like to see. We've kind of tried to up our program to try and look at those lines that are going across the golf course because everything's so wet there, it's hard to see leaks. So trying to focus on those more to make sure we don't have that type of situation again.
That's another large diameter pipe too, so.
10
if
inch,
it
yes.
leaks, yeah,
I will add that
yeah.
that pipe was 9 feet deep. The leak was in a well, it's a welded steel pipe, it was at an angle. So there was no way to put like a clamp on it or anything like that. We actually had to cut out about 8 or 9 feet of that main and put a new piece back in. But because it was so deep on the toe of the slope, we had a huge diameter hole there just to be safe. So it took a lot of work to repair that one. Next on page 21 is the wastewater collection report. Nothing super crazy there. We put in 39 feet of new pipe. We did 9, I think this is supposed to be 9, not 9 feet, but 9 internal pipe repairs. So fiberglass cured in place type sleeve. So between the 9 and this 9 pipe repairs internal, and then 6 pipe repairs that we actually had to dig up. I do want to report that we had no SSOs at all in this fourth quarter. So that's great. Other than that, that's all I have for my report. Unless you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I assume the hydrants are fed gravity wise from storage tanks?
Correct.
Similar to the way it was in Pacific Palisades?
Correct.
How long does it take to fill those tanks if they're empty, and where does that come from?
So it would come from like basically our, well, you might be able to answer this better, right, man?
Yeah, so the tanks are filled from our finished treated water, and comes from our drinking water treatment plants. So, on average, they typically 300,000 gallon capacity if they were completely full. They don't typically sit completely full. So it all depends on the rate of flow for the pumps that feed these. We have like 4 different pressure zones within the district. So we have zone 1 down near the lake, then we pump up to zone 2, then zone 2 pumps up to zone 3. So we have a lot of pressure zones where you're having to pump water from the lake up to the treatment plants, from the treatment plants, then kind of up and up and up. And then, like you said, they are all gravity flow except for the hydro systems, which are above the gravity tank. So like you mentioned, Cedar Ridge, the top hydrant there up on Bald Eagle Ridge. So that's up in the hydro zone. And so we flush that one typically weekly, and that's for, water quality.
We're talking about the several dozen below that I know haven't been touched since 2003, because I've been there.
Right, I can't comment on when the last time those were maintenance, but I can comment on the one that's exercised weekly, and that's
Right.
for water quality, because there's basically a 6-inch main that dead ends there.
Right.
And there's very little usage up there, so we need to flow water to keep the water fresh, and so we're able to take water samples and stay within compliance. So that's the reason for that.
And how are the pumps powered?
Electricity, obviously, and then we have backup diesel generators. And we have those at all of our hydro and pneumatic stations, all of our wastewater lift stations, our treatment plants. One of them has permanent generators, and the other one we need to bring trailer mounted generators to. But basically, we have backup generation or backup power for the treatment plants themselves.
Because in the Palisades, the tanks emptied quickly
Mhm.
because all the hydrants were open. And it took 4 hours to fill the tank. Meanwhile, fire department had no water.
Right.
So is there a contingency plan to get water out of the lake to the fire department somehow? If they need it, I'm not talking about tanker trucks that we have to wait for them to drive up the hill. Is there any?
Well, we
It
do
seems
not,
like, I mean, my colleagues at ALA tell me 16 billion gallons of water. There should be no reason why anything burns within a quarter mile of that lake with that resource there.
right, it's a little more complicated than that, I would say. Like, I think that might be a better question for the fire department. As far as filling their rigs from the lake, we cannot connect our drinking water system to the raw lake.
There's no pump that can go
Uh,
out of the lake to the fire department, say, or to a
that-
tanker truck somewhere.
I think that would have to be more item specific for their tanker truck, their valving, whatever needs to connect to that. I think it's important to realize that domestic water systems are not engineered to fight wildland fires. So like we experienced an issue back in 2007, back when track 8053 caught fire, and like you mentioned, yeah, hydrants get left open, so it's very hard to try to refill a water system when everything's left open. Every house that burns to the ground, there's now like a 1-inch service line that's just open, and the mains we have on the streets are anywhere 6-inch, 8-inch mains typically. So if you can picture 8-inch main, and then you have fire department pulling off here and a 2.5-inch here and 2.5-inch here and 1.5 inch there, our mains just get dissipated. So it's typically a domestic water system is designed to fight structure fires of multiple structures, but not neighborhoods on fire. And when these firestorms come through, it's just usually high wind like they saw in LA, like we saw about.
No choppers can fly.
No, I mean, the fire just spreads like that. I mean, it's just, so it's a very unfortunate situation.
That's what's so frustrating. You see all that water there.
Right. It is, and so I would think that might be a better question for the fire department on if they can access all that water in the lake, but we typically wouldn't be able to. We'd have to get that through our treatment plant, treat it and make it potable, where we could put it in the system without contaminating the rest of the drinking water system.
Seems like it would be a conversation you guys should have together.
Possibly, you know, I mean, but again, it's gonna be their equipment that they're filling, not our
Unless
equipment.
it's your pumps.
Sure, but that's where if we have a pump, but their equipment's always ever changing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it would be kind of like if we supply a pump, it would have to be connected to.
The wrong connector.
So it's more of a, I think that'd be a better question for them. Could we facilitate conversation there? Sure. But it's not something that I think typically domestic water systems address those kind of situations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Hatt?
Yes. Thanks to this gentleman, most of my questions has been answered already. Sorry. However, I really wanted to, you know, when you mentioned, better ask the fire department. I've already been to the fire department. I'm a retired firefighter from Ventura County. And so we didn't have this problem in Ventura County. So when the Pacific Palisades happened and they ran out of water and all the houses, probably the worst in the history of the state. And those houses burned down. It burned down for one reason, no water. The fire engines didn't have any water. They ran out of water. And so after that happened, I went to the fire station and I said, okay, is this gonna happen here? How often do you test the fire hydrants? Is the fire hydrants working? Are they gonna run out of water? You know what my answer was? Well, we don't deal with the fire hydrants. The water company does.
There you go.
And so that discouraged me in itself, knowing that they didn't have anything going on. I mean, as a firefighter, I tested the fire hydrants in my area regularly, once a year, tested, make sure we had plenty of water. And when the fire came through here in the old fire and the Grass Valley fire, what did they do? Pull the fire engines out, because as you say, a wind-driven fire, you get out of the way. There's nothing you can do, especially with these two AWAC people that we have. They won't let you cut down the trees around your house. And so they get out of the way. So me as a firefighter, I get out and I connect my hose to the fire hydrant in front of my house and protect my neighbor's house. It's in my house. Of course, I haven't had to do the fire thing both sides of where my house was on Bridgewood. But anyway,
anyway, I really think that it's something that you need to consider and maybe get with the fire department and say, you know, even in a non-wind driven fire, how long is that water gonna last in there? Will it last and allow them to put out that house fire that they have to hook up? They can't put out even a house fire if they don't have water coming out of the fire hydrant. It's impossible. You can't do it. And I can only imagine being a firefighter up here and just shaking my head and saying, hey, you know, I just gotta watch these structures burn to the ground. 350 structures burned to the ground in the old fire, and 199 structures burned to the ground in the Grass Valley fire. And so I appreciate, you know, your comments, and it sounds like that you do try to at least maintain the hydrants
Absolutely.
and clean them out and make sure they work and have, you know, a reservoir. It would be great if we didn't have to worry about the possibility of maybe overusing those hydrants. I mean, you shouldn't run out of water. You shouldn't run out of water and that.
Billion gallons.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I know, if you could tap into the lake, that would be great. But
Only one structure burned in the line fire,
in the what?
in the line fire, the most recent one,
Yeah,
one structure burned.
I know.
God-
That's
God
because
bless 'em.
they had helicopters and airplanes and all that kind of stuff.
Lots of fire.
So, but,
Yeah, but
you know, if you look at what happened in the Pacific Palisades,
Yeah,
and then you look at what has happened here, which is a small part of, you know, in comparison, those two fires, but a lot of structures. And I was listening to my scanner, and what did I hear? The incident commander saying, all right, pull out all the engines, it's here. They pulled out all the engines, because they can't protect it. They can't stop the fire going by. And that's not the way I fought fire. We parked an engine at every house. If we had the engines, every house had, every group of houses had an engine parked there. And that was our job, to keep houses from burning down. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate what you've done to the hydrants and keeping them working. I appreciate that very much. But if you could get with the fire department and say, what else you need? Anything? And maybe even get with AWAC people that were here and left and say, allow the people to clear a little bit of space around their house. Because that helps a lot too. You don't have dead trees hanging around your head. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Appreciate your comments. Okay, anybody else?
Mr. Vartanian?
Okay. Garrett?
Yeah, hi.
Right.
I don't know if this question's been answered, two-part question. How many fire hydrants, does LACSD know how many fire hydrants there are total in Arrowhead Woods? And what percentage of all those fire hydrants does LACSD check annually? My second question, it's in regards to the 2.2 million gallons lost at the golf course. That's almost 7 acre-feet of water that was lost. This is now the second major loss of water. There was another one, I think 3 months ago we had, where I think it was another 2 or 3 million gallons that we lost. So my second question is this recycled water? Is this water from Lake Arrowhead that was lost? Is this Clawa water that was lost? Is this the well water? The wells for the month of December, all of them produced 9 acre-feet. So, what type of water is this 7 acre-feet that we lost? Where is it coming from? That's my second question. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Garrett?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Number one, I think Nate, you can.
Yeah,
Okay.
so to start off, I think your first question there.
Number of hydrants.
Yeah, so roughly 1,000 hydrants in Arrowhead Woods. I don't know off the top of my head what the percentage is that we check every year. Like I said, it's something that we want to ramp up that program and do try to do as many as we can. We do have special equipment in order to do our valve maintenance program, so yeah, it's definitely a concern of ours, and we're working to make sure all these hydrants work.
Maybe Nate, for their next meeting, you can bring back for your report at least an approximate percentage
Sure,
of the annual that we service.
sure, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Secondly, the water that, on that 2 million gallon leak. It was part of our regular drinking system, obviously blended. Whether that was Clawa, well water, or our own water from Arrowhead. It was just a mix of everything. Just in our main, distribution system, so not necessarily one or the other.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
There's none.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is on the information reports. We're getting a lot of information tonight. Dustin.
Hello, thank you, President Wurm and board members. So I just want to quickly discuss the human resources fourth quarter report. 56 full-time employees, and I've been update that today. Number of incidents in the fourth quarter, 0. That was one of the reasons I was brought on to make sure that that's always the number. 53 employees currently are using benefits provided by the district. Alarm system, we put a new alarm system in with alarm.com, and we also added new motion sensors to the building. Safety and health staff has completed the 2024 safety training. We also ran some earthquake training as a part of that. Something special in the fourth quarter, we celebrated multiple people that have been at the district for multiple years. I won't go through the names, but we've got 5, 10, and 30 years, window. We also had a individual retire after 21 years. So we were sad to see him go, but he obviously is doing other fun things. Going back to the 56 people, we were recruiting for a field operations 1 or 2, and we hired that person today. So that's been taken care of. Risk management side of it, again, the team has done a really good job with a lot of different things, but one of the things that we saw that came through for 2025, that we want to make sure that any job description we have out there that doesn't involve a driver's license, we will make sure to take that off the job description when needed. A lot of the jobs that we do have do require that. So that was an AD 1100. Any questions?
There's none.
Done. All right. Very good. Next up is Matt.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Welcome aboard, Ms. Ambrozic. This is my usual monthly report that gives an update on water delivered in the calendar year. My report begins on page 24. This time it's an annual version, so report begins on page 24. Pages 25 through 28 are the reports themselves, and on page 29 is the analysis I do. So I'll jump to that, and I'll go over a few of the things that jumped out at me, and then after that, feel free to ask me any questions that you might have. So in December, I'll just go through the annual comparison. So in 2024, consumption was slightly up about 5.3% on our end. Now, these numbers are what we delivered to the distribution system, not necessarily what's metered and billed. So 5.3% compared to 2023. Lake draw was significantly down as we purchased quite a bit of Clawa, which I will show up in a couple columns or a couple paragraphs now. But yeah, significantly down, and we withdrew about 796 acre feet from the lake in 2024, which is just slightly above half of our allotment of 1,566 acre feet. So we left quite a bit of water in the lake last year. Obviously, a lot had to do with Blua purchase that we ramped up due to the PFAS detections in the lake and in the treated drinking water, so to bring that down. Wells to the system was down quite a bit in 2024. Well 5 will hopefully be online soon, and well 6 is offline and gonna be next on the list to get rehab, so. Hoping to get better numbers this 2025, we can get these wells back online. Like I mentioned, Clawa purchase is up about 290 acre feet more than last year, and it had to do with us trying to blend down the PFAS. And the Cedar Glen treatment plant's offline, as you guys know, and so that has a lot to do with the additional Clawa purchase as well. Recycled water, we delivered 213 acre feet. It was up about 35% when compared to 2023. But actually 213 acre feet is typically more average. I went back all the way to 2014. So if we remove 2023, which is kind of an anomaly, at 158 acre feet delivered, every other year was over 200 acre feet that we delivered, and an average of 231 acre feet. So 213 is right in line with normal, and I would say 2023 is abnormal at 158, and that was because we had the snowmageddon and very wet winter, and we did not deliver recycled water until mid-June, which is another anomaly, which isn't typical. So that's why the numbers are so different when it comes to recycled water. And as far as this report, that's what I have, and I'll gladly take any questions that you might have.
Questions from the board? No? Public? No? All right. Slide right into PFAS.
All right, we'll slide right into the PFAS update. So thanks again, Mr. President, members of the board. This report is everything that's pertains to PFAS that's gone on since the last meeting of December 10th. So not a lot PFAS wise has gone on, other than, I mean, we are reviewing plans at 60%. We're very excited about that. So design work's been going full bore in the background. But as for us, we've taken one sample since we last met December 10th. That was on January 14th, 2 weeks ago, of our Bernina water treatment plant blended the treated sample, and we're expecting those results in the next couple of days. And that will be the number that we use to gauge our compliance with the response level of 10 parts per trillion that the state of California has. So we took that sample 2 weeks ago. We'll report that out at the next meeting when we get those results. Other notes, well, actually, Mr. Vartanian at the last meeting asked for if we could pick out the blend ratio, or how much water we've been blending versus lake water and groundwater. So we did that, and for the months November, December, and currently, the blend ratio is right here on page 32, about 6, and these are approximate numbers: 67% lake water, 13% groundwater, and about 20% imported Clawa water. And so that's what we're doing currently, and we're hoping we can back off some of the Clawa water if we can get well 5 back online, and that'll save us some money there. We received the 60% design submittal for both Cedar Glen and Bernina water treatment plant on December 31st. District has been reviewing those, submitting comments, and we've had a couple calls with the engineer to go over some of our district comments, and the design engineer is currently working on scheduling a meeting with the Division of Drinking Water to discuss our 60% design plans, and just want to make sure that everything goes smooth with not just the design, but the construction and the permitting of this, and want to make sure the Division of Drinking Water is on board through the entire process. So, and just to throw out there, things are starting to hopefully move quick, and these are tentative dates, but right now it looks like tentatively sometime this summer, assuming we can get through these plans, get this out to bid, is when tentatively we're looking at mobilization for the contracts for both Cedar Glen and Bernina, based on tentative timelines we're looking at with these plans. So that's pretty exciting. So that's everything kind of gone on with PFAS in the last month and a half. So if you have any questions, I'll gladly take those.
Question from the board?
I have a question. Once that well is back on, what do you estimate the percentage of fall withdrawal that the person?
We're hoping that we might be able to take it to 0 for now, for the next few months. Right now we're purchasing 100 gallons a minute, and if we can get well 5 back, it goes on average about that.
So what's our money savings on that? So
I would
Maybe
have,
you don't know that.
I'd have
I
to
think
call
our-
you.
I don't know.
There's
off the
a
top of
couple
my head.
$1,000
Per acre
feet
foot, yeah,
from Blua,
Yeah.
something like that.
26.
Yeah.
We purchased about 13 acre feet the last couple months at this rate, so 13,
Times 2,600.
I thought you could do this in your head, no? About $34,000 a month, if we can,
Okay.
eliminate purchasing 100 gallons a minute of Cloa.
And when's it gonna be back online?
We're hopeful very soon, so we've been running into weather delays. Previously, we were waiting on, parts availability on the pump and motor to show up from the contractor that ordered this, so they finally got the parts on hand, and then we have the weather showed up, so.
So soon.
Soon.
Hopefully this month.
Questions, comments from the board? Public?
Mr. Bartini?
Karen?
Yeah, I had a question for Matt about the ratio that he went over. The ratio on page 32, LACSD is buying 20% clean Clowa water with no PFAS in it. From the lake, there's 67%, and from the groundwater, the wells, it's 13%. The ratio is 80-20 when it comes to Clowa versus the lake and the wells. The lake's PFOA level has ranged between 12 parts per trillion and 16 parts per trillion. So if we take a ratio of 80-20, 80% clean Clowa water, 80% other water, so 20 Clowa, 80 other, that drops to 12.0 to 9.6 parts per trillion. And on the high end, it'll drop to 16 to 12.8. So my question is, the blending that's occurring right now, what's the actual levels in the water after the 80-20 blending, and why isn't LACSD getting more Clowa water to blend to bring the PFAS levels down significantly, as opposed to meeting the legal minimum standard required? Why aren't we blending 50-50, for example? So that's my question. I'm questioning the blend ratio and what's the actual levels now, and why are we not blending at a 50% rate?
Any other questions? Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, go ahead, Matt.
All right, Mr. Bartanian, I'll start with your second question, which was why are we not blending more now? Because we are trying to be good stewards of the ratepayers' money, and we have achieved the results we're looking for by blending less. So it's very expensive to try to continue buying Clowa water. And as it's in this report, the last samples we took of this blended treated water, one being July 15th, the next one being October 14th. These are the quarterly samples, came in at 6.3 and 8 for PFOA. So, and again, things changed. Back then, water demand was much higher, so we were purchasing much higher quantities of Clowa. And as the water demand drops down, we bring down the amount of Clowa we're purchasing as well. We're trying to stay within this goal, but at the same time, be good stewards of the ratepayers' money. Also, as far as the calculation that you presented, that's strictly only a calculation. It needs to be understood that these are approximate numbers. These numbers that I gave, and they're based on these reports you can see right in here of throughput through the plant based on total numbers of the month. But on a daily basis, I'll say the treatment plant runs in bursts. It doesn't run 24/7 at the same gallons per minute. It might run 2 hours today and 6 hours tomorrow and 12 hours on Saturday. But the entire time we're getting 100 gallons a minute constant of Clowa. We're getting fluctuating rates from groundwater. So it's not a constant input from all these sources. So we are required, and we also rely on the samples that we take to show us whether we're in compliance or not. And that goes well beyond this sample we're talking about now. That's what we do. That's what we do for a living, is we take samples and we monitor water quality for the community. And this is just one of them that we're talking about. So how do we know that we're in compliance with treating or removing any constituent is by taking water samples, and that's typically a grab sample, whether it be monthly, quarterly. This is a grab sample quarterly that we take, and it tells us at that moment in time what was the PFOA and all these other PFAS analytes levels and at that moment in time. So I hope that answers your question, but that's why we do what we do.
And my comment, the goal with the blending, and our goal is to bring the water, the amounts down below, either at or below the standards that have been set forth by the federal government and state governments, and that's what we're doing. So we're
Yes.
meeting their standards. And that's our goal.
We're actually, I mean, we feel like we're ahead of the curve and ahead of the game right now, trying to get these treatment units installed at our surface water treatment plants to remove PFAS from the surface water. And this is not required to be in place until 2029. And here we are, early 25. We got on this immediately last year in 2024. The Division of Drinking Water has commended us for being ahead of the game and not waiting for someone to twist our arm and make us do this. The district has taken proactive steps as soon as we found out that there was PFAS in the lake. And again, as we've discussed at this meeting and previous meetings, we went above and beyond trying to figure out, is there a single source within the community or multiple sources that we could identify? And we were unable to at this point, but we have gone above and beyond and we continue to do so. And we care very much about the PFAS that's in the water, but also where it's coming from. So we're doing everything we can and we feel like we're going above and beyond and we're going to continue to do that.
Thank you, Matt. Any other questions, comments?
Thanks,
Very good. Thank you, Matt. And then so the next is Scott, yearly review of ordinance 65.
Thank you, President Wurm. This is our yearly review of this. This has been in effect since 2007, and it limits the amount of meters that we can sell within a year, and that's set at 5 per month, up to 60 per year. There has not been a need to establish a waiting list since ordinance 65 became effective. This year, we sold a total of 16 meters. And staff recommendation is not to recommend any changes to ordinance 65 at this time.
Any public comment?
There's none.
The information item only, so there's no board action required. Yeah, very good. All right, general manager's report, John.
Thank you, President Wurm. This is the typical general manager's report, really nothing unique or out of the ordinary with it. I don't really have any additional comment to add to it.
Any questions, comment from the board? No,
Okay.
from the public? Okay, very good. All right, that concludes our information items. We have action item number 12. Again, Scott.
Thank you, President. So this action item is to consider awarding an engineering contract to TKE Engineering for Lift Station 2. And to give you a little background on Lift Station 2, it currently has limited capabilities. It contains 220 horsepower submersible pumps and a wet well of 800 gallons. The pumps turn on at a level of 55 inches and turn off at 25 inches, pumping 293 gallons per cycle. This lift station cycles approximately 93 times within 24 hours. And it gives this district staff approximately 8 minutes from the high float alarm until wastewater backs up within the collection system and spills into the parking lot. So on page 75, there's a couple photos of this. This is in the village, and it's right by the crosswalk that goes by Alexa's Emporium to the new Tiki Republic, where
Okay,
the road goes up towards Staters. It's just yeah, 2 posts and it's in ground and it's got limited capabilities and it has spilled in the past, not recently, but, and in addition, this little lift station takes on the resort. It takes on all of the village. So and when there is an issue there, there's no place to put equipment or park or, it blocks that whole intersection. So, we've been in contact with the, village and, they like the idea of turning that into more parking. We'll take 2 parking spots on the downhill side. It'll be kind of moved over on the other side. As you can see in this example, the contract fiscal impact will be $245,450. That will be funded by the Wastewater Capital Improvement Fund 210. And it will be a portion of the fiscal year 25-26 budget of $2,350,000 for the complete new lift station. And we have Joanna Rembus. She's Skyped in, and if you have any questions, she's the professional engineer from TK Engineering. She's going to be the lead designer on this project, the head engineer. And I don't know if you guys have any questions for her. I see her name.
I'm asking her to unmute.
Okay.
Oh, I'm here.
Hi,
Thank
Joanna.
you. Well, welcome, Joanna, and
Thank you.
thank you for being available to work with us on our projects. I know we have some challenging little issues up here for this water district and wastewater. Now, I do have a question, Scott. Looking at the diagram at the bottom of page 75.
Yes,
Okay, is the red where the proposed new location is?
that is correct.
Okay, and the little circles there, that's where the current location is.
Correct.
Okay. And so in looking at this, it's a pricey project, but this is a very sensitive location.
Yes.
I mean, not only there's a lot of people here, but the lake is real close by.
Right, the lake's close by, and there's issues with the type of pumps in this. We can upgrade the pumps that will shred flushable flushes and rags that come from the hotel. So and the capacity will be much larger. It will have better access. It will have an actual wet well with the pumps above ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and this is a facility that can get a lot of use in a short amount of time. Yeah, okay.
So
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
so the red box, actually, that's what we're looking at. That's gonna be the new facility.
Yes.
And is that on that hillside right before the parking garage?
It's actually gonna be on the flat area right next to the parking spots.
Okay.
And it will be just a hatch that you can open and then walk into the upper, and then it'll have a lower wet well below the pumps. So it won't be like a structure. It'll be more of like a vault.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
Is there a breakdown of the engineering costs in here or available?
I believe should be a copy of the proposal with your board packet. Yeah, no?
No.
Oh, we didn't get that?
Maybe Joanna, you can comment on that?
Oh, she could.
Or do you have a question for Joanna on?
I was just curious to review the breakdown of the cost for the engineering.
Joanna, do you have a breakdown on the proposal?
She's muted.
It won't let me unmute it. I have a breakdown of our fees, or you want a breakdown of the actual cost of building the structure?
The cost of the engineering.
Yeah, I can pull that up for you. Is there something in particular that you're looking for on it, or you want me to go down each section of it?
Yeah, if it's not too lengthy.
Yeah, let me pull it up really quick for you. I don't, it's on my computer and I'm using my phone to talk to you guys, otherwise I'd share my screen. Sorry, it's taking a minute. Where are you? It is. So we have project management at $13,360. We need to do records research for $1,820. The design survey is $12,340. We have to do geotechnical services up there for $12,950. Base construction drawings is $14,620. And then we have a 60% design on it for $105,025. And then we have our 60% design review meeting for $2,040. And then we have to coordinate with the agencies. There's Edison and a couple other utilities in that area, and that's $8,240. If you know what it's like to deal with Edison, you'll understand why we have to put some extra money in there for that. Coordination with agents, sorry, did that 90% design is $48,730. And then we have our review meeting for the 90% at $1,720. And then our final design is $11,060. And then final coordination with all the agencies and everybody, stakeholders, $6,400 for a total cost of $238,305. And then we have like a reimbursable of 3% of that cost. So the total price for our services is $245,450. I can send this breakdown to you guys too, again.
That's always helpful to see it in person. Thank you.
Okay, you want to have her send it to you or send it to the district and then
Yeah,
forward to
no.
you?
Sure.
I have it.
All right. He has it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
Mr. Bertini, has a question?
Garen?
Yeah, just a quick question. LACSD used to have a district engineer as an employee. As we all know, the LACSD no longer has an engineer, a licensed engineer on staff. I don't know if LACSD has an engineering department, but has this proposal been submitted out to multiple firms for bid? Or is TKE the exclusive agent that does engineering review? Second question is, would it make more financial sense to have a licensed engineer annually doing the plan design of all the stuff that LACSD does? I'm sure there's licensed engineers that do this kind of work, and I think LACSD may save money having an in-house engineer. I believe Aida Hercules was your last engineer, and she was fantastic. So, is TKE the exclusive party that does all these engineering proposals, and would LACSD consider bringing another Aida in to have an in-house engineer to do this stuff? It looks like you guys are doing engineering stuff almost every other day, so why can't we have an engineer for a water district that does water engineering stuff every day? Thank you.
Is that all your questions, Garen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So found it was to our benefit to have at least one primary, in essence, district engineer. They act as the district engineer, that we have a relationship and that we know them and they know us. So we found it to be very beneficial. And so it doesn't go out to bid, and they're sort of our first person we talk to. And then when we do have engineering, when Catherine or Scott has engineering questions, they can go to TKE, they know TKE, TKE knows us. So I hopefully that answers that question. The second question about a employee engineer is we got away from that. It's found out it's been a tremendous amount of money we've saved. We had an engineer, the engineer we were paying was a lot of money, I'll say that. And we were still having to outsource almost all our engineering. So we were paying an in-house employee engineer a pretty good salary, which, you know, as a professional, you do, plus outsourcing almost all of our engineering. So now we outsource all of our engineering and we don't have an engineer's salary.
How many years ago did we do that?
It's about 5 or 6, I think.
6.
Yeah.
6 years.
Everything stayed relatively static, constant, and if we did it again, would we come up with the same decision? Or do we?
I would.
I was on the board and
Yeah.
let me think about what I'm gonna say right now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this, it's a personal opinion that someone does a fantastic job. That's not my personal opinion. I was on this board, I was newer on the board, but for a couple of years. And I would wholeheartedly agree with what John says. Even though we had a district engineer, it was not a good use of the ratepayers' money to pay someone the amount of money we were paying for an in-house engineer who essentially went outside to find an engineering company to do their job. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, with our in-house engineer, this is the type of project that would be done by another engineering company.
Yes.
Right.
And it was better for the district to do what we did. We thought that over and argued over it for quite a while before we decided to make the move that we did.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is very common with many water districts all over.
And for 5 and 6, Joanna is new to us. We had Mike Thornton, right, before,
Yes.
and he's sort of semi-retired from what I understand, but he did a great job for us. And he was always available. I know Catherine talked to him a lot and he gave some very, very good advice. And he also, another advantage, so to speak, is that Mike and now Joanna, I'm sure, you work with a lot of other, you know, districts and do a lot of the engineering projects. And so you have a lot of contacts and different experience that we can take advantage of. And you have a firm that has different engineers other than just one person. So we found the present arrangement to be very beneficial. But it's a good question, though. Okay. All right. Any other questions from members of the public? Okay. So I think at this time we can entertain a motion to award the contract or not award it.
I'll move to award the contract.
I'll second.
Roll call vote or just
regular vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Contract is awarded.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Joanna. We appreciate you coming in. Okay. That is our action items. Any board member comment? Any board member meetings? Wanna go to meeting? You have the opportunity. No? Okay, board member comments?
I have a comment for Scott. Brought up a good point. I don't remember your name, sir, but in the back, you brought up a good point about the slip lining.
Yes.
And I think we should look into that and maybe about PFAS. We certainly don't want to add to it.
Seems like it's done, right?
Yeah, so I, maybe we want to look at things more. I mean, just because we've always done it doesn't mean we want to still do it, but nobody wants to put you on the spot, but it's something we want to look at.
I will
We
get.
want
an
to be the
answer on
last
that.
people that's contributing to any kind of PFAS in our water.
Especially going down Hesperia and Apple Valley.
God forbid. But, yeah, I just think maybe next, I'm sure you already wrote that down, but next week you're gonna be.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future. We could look at things like that. And then I had something else too, is that I thought correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan or Matt, but I could have swore in the past, we do have a system where we have to check the hydrants. And was it a county thing or a state thing? I thought 4 or 5 years ago, I heard about that and they were saying that we check the hydrants and we do it. I thought it was like every 3 years that either the county or state wanted it, and we were up ahead of that.
I think it's at about 3 years.
Yeah,
mean,
I remember it
That's
was
what
3
we're trying to
years.
get to. We wanna obviously get better at that and do it sooner.
Yeah.
So we're trying to ramp up that
Well,
program.
anytime something happens like it did down in LA,
Yeah.
everybody, of course, then we're gonna,
We've always done the program, but, you know, it's obviously room to improve, so.
okay, I was just curious, I couldn't remember that if I remembered something about 3 years. We were ahead of that curve, I think, we were. Because we did have that fire up kind of Yellowstone area or wherever that was last year.
I believe, Mike Blackwood was here then, and I believe he did mention that that specific hydrant up there, it had been 3 years since we were there.
Okay,
And he had said at the time that I think that was about what most of the hydrants in the district we had been to. The goal would be annually, but like back then, I know when we were talking about this, the valve maintenance crew. Typically seems to be the crew that gets pulled off duty first when there's a full flag set up or bigger needs arise. So the goal may always be, actuate every valve and hydrant in the district every year, but realistically, it might be every 2 to 3. So that's what I believe Mike Blackwood was saying on his way out. Maybe that's why you thought 3 years.
maybe it was. So have we ever thought about, it's a good thing, getting with the fire department too? They get paid to sleep sometimes, I know that. I was a cop for many years, I know, I used to go and watch them. But maybe they would help us out, if they have time. I know down in Crestline, they dig the hydrants out from the snow when it snows heavy.
We could definitely have some discussion with
Yeah.
them. I know when it comes to getting hands on the water system, as far as operating hydrants, that can become a sticky situation as far as when you open a hydrant and you close a hydrant, you can very well create a lot of problems within that immediate area or neighborhood with dirty water calls. And so
Yeah.
we've heard from those that come up and have second homes up here that, depending on where they might live, some areas, the fire department does handle the fire hydrant maintenance. Other water districts, that's typically not the case. So I think it's kind of case by case. We can definitely talk with our local fire departments and see if that's something we can maybe get with them on some sort of shared, responsibility. But I know there's a liability there, you know what I mean? So
Okay,
as far as like if we have 1,000 hydrants and if someone's opening and closing them over on the other end or anywhere, like we could be getting flooded with calls. And
sure.
not only can you create dirty water issues and water quality issues, you can blow up mains, you can cause a lot of problems. So I think there is a probably reluctant liability that someone's gonna take on at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah, and I will say, I was just kidding about them sleeping on the job. We're always buzzing, I have plenty of fireman friends, we're just busting each other's shops.
Got a question?
I'd say for liability, there's a bigger liability, if you pop a hydrant and there's nothing there.
Right.
That's what they're experiencing in Palisades. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
The issue came up at our HOA board meeting, because we have a lot of, second home owners. And these are multi-million-dollar houses, and they see what happens in the Pacific Palisades, and they wonder, well, gee, could that happen here? And I have to go back now, and I have really nothing. I can't tell them, yes, our hydrants are checked every, we don't know. I can't tell them there's no passes in the slip sleeve. I can't tell them there's a way to access the lake in an emergency. I can't tell them how long it takes to fill those tanks to feed the hydrants. I have no answers.
There's a lot of variables there as far as how long does it take to fill a tank, there's a lot of variables with that. Again.
But they hate surprises.
I understand, but we all do, and so like I would just like, we could impress upon them that domestic water system is not designed to fight a wildland fire, period. Not here, not in LA, not anywhere. The fact that they had no water coming out of their hydrants, I would have to imagine there's a lot of variables there. I don't think it was just one thing. they were dealing with no power getting cut off. They're just like we are, you know, when you have 40 generators running, you got problems.
It was the tank refill rate that was the main issue according to stuff I've read.
Yeah, but I mean, but that could be linked to things like power availability, generators failing. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in those situations and areas like that, that are different than here, they're flatter. So if you have a hill in the neighborhood and you drop a 5 million gallon reservoir on top of the hill, that satisfies that whole area. With our topography, we have about 20 water reservoirs that we need to maintain. And aside from that, we have homes above those reservoirs. So we're not a typical district. We have 20 reservoirs we're trying to maintain, not just 3, 4, 5.
Is that how many tanks there are?
Yeah, we have, again, hydro zones above that. So all these, not all of them have generators. Some of them do. All of our wastewater stations have generators. So when we have like widespread power outages like we did, we had 34 generators running from anywhere from 20 to 50-hour continuous runs. We have a guy right now still driving around filling generators because some of these are 500 gallon capacity. Again, we have 20 some of them out there, 34 total with portables and stuff, and it's just maintaining these things. So I'm just saying, whatever was going on in LA, I think there was probably a lot of variables there. It wasn't just.
It just was odd for them because there was the Pacific Ocean across the street and they couldn't chopper out of it. They couldn't draw out of it. It, it was right there.
Yeah.
That's what made us think about the lake. There's 16 billion gallons. And it seems weird to me that you're fighting a fire with drinking water when that supply exists there. It seemed like there should be a nice spigot somewhere that you turn and suck out of the lake to feed the hydrants rather than spill drinking.
How much more on your water bill do you want?
Much for a valve.
Well, yeah,
And
not
that
much
works
more.
That works okay if the fire you're trying to fight is near the lake, right? Well, what happens when the fire is 5 miles from the lake? Like, again, there's so many variables here. There's not just an answer on like drop a pump in the lake, fill a truck, and now you got all your firefighting needs handled. So there's
My
more.
residents just care about themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens when we have a 24-inch main that goes into the lake and it goes all the way to the top of the highest peak here? And then, they can pump all millions of gallons, but you don't have the firefighters.
Yeah.
Just, we're a water district. We don't supply firefighters. And I'm not saying firefighters aren't gonna be there or don't wanna be there, but what if they're not there? George.
Well,
I mean, then we're gonna call George. There's no firefighters.
I just want to let you know that the Pacific Palisades would not have had the loss they had if there had been water in the fire hydrants. There would not been that extreme loss of structures. I can guarantee you that. These people did not have water. And right now, yeah, they pull out if the fire comes through and they pull out the firefighters, there are some people around that want to protect their own homes. So that's why you need to have at least those hydrants with water there so we can depend on it. And hopefully someday we'll have the homes sort of some clear people that want to protect their homes, some clear a little bit around their homes. And so maybe then the firefighters will come back and protect the homes if there is some clearance around the homes. It's the extreme trees that cause the problem here.
I hope you guys
But
can
we need
liaison with the
water.
fire department. It'd be great if you guys could work together with. the
Yeah,
fire
if you could at
department.
least
You're
work with
managing
the
a
fire
ton of
department
resources.
on it.
Yeah, this is great conversation, and like, whenever we experience anything, we always try to figure out is there anything we can do differently, do better?
I mean, granted, it's a doomsday scenario, but
Right.
stuff happens.
All right.
No,
Okay. Bruce has a question or a comment, and then you guys can chit chat.
But I've got one for you, man. Would it make any sense at all to know, and I don't know if we keep logs on this type of thing in terms of checking the hydrants when they were checked, to both protect LACSD and have knowledge of how often have they been checked? And when we checked them, what was the percentage that were problems, if there was? And you then have something where we've just talked for 45 minutes on this, started by, no, we're not real sure. And I don't know what the cost would be to go back and do it, but I don't know if historically there's logs, but it seems to me that it would be it would be a good thing to know that. And it both protects the members out there, as well as the liability issue.
All right, I think Nate's gonna get us that information next
Yeah.
meeting.
I think we do keep some records of that. I have to go back and see how we're keeping those records, but I know we go by track and we go to that area and we pull out a map book and they go through that whole area. And I believe they date that. And so we have a book where we go through the whole thing. And as far as the percentage of hydrants, like I was saying earlier, we generally don't find hydrants that don't work. If we have anything that has to do with downing a hydrant, it's usually the line coming from the main to the actual hydrant. So that portion is generally steel. That's where we see our failures. So generally we'll fix that really quickly. We'll dig that pipe up, put a new plastic pipe in instead and get that hydrant back online. But we have pretty solid hydrants as far as not having to do a whole lot of maintenance to them as far as repairs and stuff like that. When we go around and we maintenance the hydrants, they have the bonnet on the top that has like a food grade oil in it, and that keeps everything free and moving. So every time we check a hydrant, we open that up, make sure it has oil in there, make sure everything's working freely. And then, generally we'll paint it and paint the valve and then move on to the next one.
Good, all right.
Just.
Well, real short, George.
Real short.
Okay.
Both times I've used my hydrant connected to it, it's worked great, at great pressure.
All right, okay.
Great pressure, and
All
if
right.
the fire came through, I would have been able to protect at least 4 homes.
All right, George.
Thank you, I just want to make sure that keeps happening.
Okay.
Thank
All right,
you.
Go to
thank-
my house and check.
Okay. Okay, we got a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye, meeting's adjourned.